Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jake Notis, episode 3. Join us as we talk about UAPs, meteorites, and more.
What's up?
What's up,
Ooh,
Notis?
what's up, Jake? How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
What shirt is that? Goonies?
Goonies. Yeah.
Uh, tight, bro. I'm rocking my was it Steve Jobs look? Sorry, man. I had a little bit of technical difficulties earlier, and it was taking forever to reset the internet over here.
No worries.
Dude, what's going on right now, man? What are you seeing? I saw the chat. What's going on? Like, there's multiple balloons, UFOs. What's
Yeah. So that's going pretty crazy right now. In addition,
Mhm.
we're seeing today outside of I think it was McLaren, Texas. There was some blue lights that flashed by, and so they I saw announced on let's find the Twitter handle so I'm not misquoting this, but um they think it was an asteroid or a meteor that flashed by, like, and it sounds like that there was an impact, although they haven't announced an impact site yet.
Really? Is this where the
Yeah.
one where the pilot saw something?
So it's not just a pilot here. Let me see if I can find it.
Man, there's been a lot of unusual activity going on here in the States. We got Chinese spy balloons, I guess, flying over, and more sightings and stuff about extraterrestrials and UFOs. And that's just, that's down our alley, personally.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we love that stuff. Um, but it's becoming more prevalent on the freaking all over the news. Now they're talking more openly about it.
All right. So if you can
Yeah.
go to Dan. So if you can pull up Twitter,
Yeah, I'm on
go
Twitter.
go up to at Dan Vitor, and that's Vitor,
Hmm.
and then PH. Look at his Twitter handle, and he's got a video. And it's not our video, so I'm sure we can share it briefly and comment on it. But this is so it's filled over McAllen, Texas, 6 miles from Mission, Texas,
Just over an
and
hour
so
ago. Just the one you're talking
uh,
about?
yeah, yep. It was around five, so it's a little earlier. It happened around 5. It started reporting on it a little later, right? But it was
Hmm.
like 5 to 5:30 p.m. Texas time.
Okay, I'm here. You able to see that?
Right. Yep. And
Okay.
then look for his tweet. That's probably his pin tweet. All right. So go down one, that one right there, and play that and see if we can.
What we're looking at, Jake, what are we looking at here?
So we're looking at a sky, and it's somebody filming from. They're literally parked at a street light in their car. Looks like, and they're
Hmm.
filming through their windshield, I believe, and it's showing literally a meteor with a tail and everything. I think that would be the difference with like versus asteroid is this meteor has like a huge tail on it, and
Mm.
literally looks like it's straight out of the movies.
This isn't like, have we already confirmed that this isn't like Starlink stuff? Like Tesla or, okay, no,
I
that looks like a freaking comet. Whoa.
I believe that is correct. That's been confirmed. It's not. Um, yeah. So there's the video,
Whoa.
and that's pretty wild.
That was today
Yep.
in Austin?
That that was just a few years ago. No,
Oh,
no, it was
furious.
near McAllen,
McAllen,
Texas.
Texas. Hey, my own stomping
Yeah,
grounds. Yeah.
near Mission.
Mission, Texas. I
Is
know
it,
where that is.
so here's the exact. It fell in Mission, close to McAllen.
Oh, around 5:30 p.m., making a loud bang, shaking a house in a 10-mile radius. This was filmed over McAllen, 6 miles from Mission. That's my old stomping grounds, man. I've been there. I know exactly where that place is. Wow, that's unusual.
Yeah, that
That's wild,
that
man.
that that's pretty crazy. And then So check out this one. There's another handle. Unless you want to scroll down and see any other. I don't know if there's anything else to it. I don't think there is. Right?
No,
That's
that was an hour ago. This dude tweeted that. Yeah,
okay. So go ahead and type in at investigate. It's short for investigate Earth, but it'll be investigate EAR. So, and then one.
EAR. Got it. Investigate Earth podcast.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I don't know how accurate this person is, right? So for those that are going to watch this and kind of follow along, we need the disclaimer. We have no proof of any of it being um very accurate, although I've seen the meteorite reported from this sheriff guy, right? So
Mhm.
that guy, that's a legit account. So it's a sheriff right there.
Sheriff Eddie
Uh
Guerra. Guerra.
yeah.
Guerra.
Yeah, Guerra. So yeah.
Mm.
But so yeah, so in that that's somewhat reputable that you're talking about right there.
Mm.
And then if you go down a little bit, you'll see the amount of military craft that were in the air today was extremely abnormal. So you can kind of look at that thread of there's a whole bunch of you'll have to kind of scroll. Look, there's a thread
Mm.
of all that where there's a bunch of them. I don't know if you're in the right part here.
See. Oh, maybe
There's
it's this one in this thread. So there's a tweet we're looking at was informed. Sheriff Eddie Guerra tweets was informed by my federal partners that Houston Air Traffic Control received reports from two aircrafts that they saw a meteorite west of McAllen, where the exact point of impact is unknown. No reports of any damage in that area has been received.
right, and that tweet was before I saw that video. And then if you scroll down, this yeah, keep going down, and this thread here is going to show you the extra military craft that were up. And I have no, I cannot verify any of the accuracy of this, which
Mm-hmm.
is why I was touching base with you earlier in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I can't verify the accuracy, but all over the coast near me looks like if this is true, that we've had more military craft in the air than some have ever seen before. And for what, I am not sure.
Wow.
Do you know how to read these maps that we're looking at? Like, can you tell what the difference is versus
Uh,
like a military craft and
this is Flight Radar. There's another website, let me look it up, that you can look specifically at military aircraft that tracks them. Because, when you're tracking on Flight Radar 24, military aircrafts, their transponders aren't showing. They don't bleep on the map. Let me see if I can find the link.
well, so apparently this is military craft that he's showing from here.
Okay, that right there.
Well, if you zoom back out of this, every single one of his screenshots has apparently that's military craft.
Oh, this one of these aircrafts was just parked in Reno the other day.
Yeah, so
P
that's a P8 Poseidon.
from the Navy. Yeah, you can tell it's a Navy
Yeah.
aircraft by the way their numbers here on the front of the nose. Normally, you get a lot of these. You see a lot of these 737s. They don't say Navy on them, but the only way you can distinguish that they're Navy aircraft is by the if you're watching the video, they usually have the tail number of the aircraft um, painted in the very front underneath the captain and the FO side of the window. That's how you can tell it's a Navy aircraft as opposed to like Marine or uh, Air Force or Army. Very specific how they paint their numbers on. Wow, dude, this is over. Wow, yeah, this is flight radar, and they're showing the transponders. That's odd. Normally, military aircraft, if they only show their transponders on flight radar if they want to be seen. Like when the war was going on, or the war in Ukraine, like you can track all the drones that are flying, all the military aircraft going over there because they want the public to see them. Like some of the flight radar activity, like some of the most, I guess, watched uh, or followed accounts on flight radar are all military aircraft. That's crazy. Yeah, there's another website that you can track specifically military aircraft. I don't remember. I'm trying to look in our group chat which one.
And I could be wrong, but or maybe there was a reason it was on, or maybe this person to um has access to the military radar for some reason. But I guess that would be somewhat conflict of interest, right? If you have access and it's not public information, then you're posting out on Twitter. I could see that being a conflict there. Scroll
Yeah.
scroll back up a little bit.
All right.
And so we can talk about this one real quick. The P8 Poseidon. So according to this person, it's one of the most advanced aircraft for underwater tracking.
What?
So this aircraft is designed to track craft that are underwater.
Holy cap.
So that's what that's designed for. And that this one was out and about. It was along. They said it was along. There was one along Oklahoma, and there was a bunch of them by the coast of Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. So over by me.
Over by
So
you, bro.
just interesting. What is going on with all these? Is there some kind of war games going on, or is there? Is there? Since the Chinese have been testing us with these balloons, is there more stuff going on? Are the Chinese mad at us for shooting down their balloons? However, they're in our airspace, so you wouldn't justify us not retaliating, right?
Right.
Because if we were to fly a balloon over them, they would definitely probably be pretty mad as well.
Right.
But yeah, see, this is right in my area. You see right here,
Yeah. Wilmington. Bro,
right,
right in the action, dog.
right. Well, I don't know how excited I am about that to
You know,
keep me out of the action.
well, didn't you, Lieutenant Fravor, didn't he talk about like most of the sightings were off the East Coast?
I'm
Like
not
most of
sure.
yeah, there's something I don't know. I think he was talking to Rogan about it. That a lot of their missions and stuff where they've seen most of these UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. I think that's what the UAPs are standing for now instead of
Yeah,
UFOs. He says that during their training exercise on the East Coast, bro, just off the coast of the in the Atlantic, that's where most of the sightings have been. It's crazy, and
yeah,
this is right over you, bro. This is today.
yep.
That's wild, dog. Is there a lot of military bases in North Carolina near you where you stay?
There's one about two. There's Fort Bragg, which is like 2 hours away from me in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an hour and a half. And then there's Camp Lejeune, which is a Marine base, which is an hour north of me.
Mm.
So those are the two closest ones.
Oh, don't let us start on this Ohio stuff. Oh my gosh, you see about that?
Yeah, that's from
You
a
about
different
that?
day.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. There's a
that's
whole bunch
wild.
of conspiracies going on about that. Was there a natural disaster? Where there's, I'm waiting to unpack some of the facts here so I can kind of see what's going on because I don't really understand the situation completely yet, and wait for some of those details to come out.
Right.
But it seems like why don't we know more already out of what happened there? Why wasn't it really talked about? It was like kind of swept under the rug a little bit too,
Yeah.
and so
Mm-hmm.
that automatically piques my interest when
Right.
something is that that much tragedy. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing too is how there wasn't too much interest in, it was really a terrible earthquake that happened in Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
where I think they're saying 20 or 30,000 people died.
Died.
That's tragic. Yeah.
That's huge. 30,000
Yep.
people. And not a blip of it in our television. Like on not even on social media. I don't see people saying pray for Turkey. You know how usually when they have like,
Right.
natural disaster, like for example, when Tonga had their volcano and the tsunami, that huge volcano, everyone was saying pray for Tonga, pray for, you know what I mean? I ain't seen
Right.
nothing like that for Turkey. What's going on,
Right.
man? What's going on over
I
there?
do. I do not know.
Yeah, but it's unusual that we're seeing. My wife was telling me today that there's been like several different balloons shot down, like some over Alaska, over um, like in the East Coast, right? There's all these different things going on, and it's on the mainstream news. Like
All
that's
right. So
wild.
so let's see if we can kind of clarify for people.
Yeah.
exactly the so we're not spreading misinformation here. Turkey earthquake, and then just see if we can find how many. I hate
Yeah,
searching for
no,
this.
yeah, that's
So they're
sad.
saying, okay, so it's a 7.8 and a 7.5 earthquake. So two of them struck 9 hours apart, which is why it was so terrible, right? 7.8 is crazy.
Mhm.
But on Monday, and the death toll is likely to pass 56,000 is what they're estimating because
Jeez,
they're still pulling people out today. I saw
wow.
on a YouTube clip that they pulled out a young girl and saved her life, and she was still alive, thankfully.
Yeah, I think
For
that's the
every
little
one of
baby.
those,
That's the little baby
yeah,
girl that they pulled out, and then no parents are found or whatever.
yeah,
Sad, man. Super
right.
sad. I've had the chance to go to Turkey twice, to work on a show. And man, when that first happened, I was like, I immediately thought about all the people that I worked with in Turkey. I've been on the like what do they call it, the Asian side of Turkey, and on the European side. There's
Hmm.
two sides, right? So I'm not exactly sure where the earthquake happened, but if you go driving through that city, it's a super old city, right? Those are old civilizations from back in the day. So
Göbekli Tepe is there.
is that where that is
Yeah, it's in
in
Turkey.
Turkey? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
One of the big,
yeah.
one of the biggest, like ancient megalithic ruins, right? From back in the day, one of the biggest.
Being dated potentially 10,000 years ago with
Mhm.
advanced architecture, stones that are similar in weight to some of the pyramid stones that were
Mhm.
impossible to chisel by hand with our current technology. They look like they were essentially laser cut. They fit that smooth. Drill markings of looking similar to what a diamond drill would leave behind, just like crazy technology where they think it's 10,000 years ago, where, we were all supposed to be hunter gatherers at that point and not have that type of technology 10 years, assuming that the our dating is correct, right?
Right, right. Yeah, that's wild, man. That's something we need to go visit sometime.
Yes, bucket list.
Bucket list for sure, dude. In our private jet. Um, but yeah, dude, that's wild that you don't see any of these campaigns on social media. Maybe it's the way the algorithm's set up right now, just on the West Coast, or just the Western Hemisphere, the world. But I haven't seen anything like pray for Turkey, and at least not in our feed, not in our algorithm. I don't know what's going on, but
Right. Yeah. So the big questions I would have notice is,
what's
so
up?
all these things going on right now. We've got apparently all this military craft up in the air. We
Hmm.
got these potential meteorites that are hitting. We've got these two cylindrical or three cylindrical, um, somewhere in the 40,000 altitude range that got shot down. Oh, one over Alaska, and then one over South Carolina waters. There's one in South Carolina, I believe, was the second balloon.
That was the second one.
But there were, yeah, second balloon. But then there were also some cylinders with no visible propulsion, um, that got shot down as well. And I believe it
What?
was two of those.
Really? I didn't hear
Yes.
about that one.
Yeah.
Is it
Yep.
like the
Yep.
ones that they describe? Um, s- uh, it's like the circle inside of a square,
No. A cylinder the size of a car is all I heard. The size of an ATV
like a tic tac.
potentially, and I don't know if it was moving. I do know that when we fired on it, we missed with the first missile, and so somehow it was able to. It was messing with our scanners. It was potentially jamming one of the fighter jets that was up there, and it missed with the first missile, which our capability of not missing is pretty high up there. So whatever it was able to, we need to get more information. Did the missile, I don't know if we'll ever get that information because if we did miss, I don't think our military would like to admit that there was like a malfunction, and they wouldn't want to admit if it had technology to throw the missile off either,
Right.
right?
They don't want to. Yeah, they don't
So
want the public to know that.
no, because they want the government. has gotten to a point now where they think they know better than us, and that it's better for us not to know the truth because we can't handle the truth, is what I think their view when it comes to some of these more um, when it involves defense of our country
Hmm.
and the unknown. They typically, although they are giving us more information than they ever have, they deny is what it was for so many years. But with technology getting so good now, it's only a matter of time where we're going to get public footage of things. So I think
Right.
that's also part of the reason why they decided to come clean is they're not going to be able to keep it a secret longer, right? They can't just
Right.
keep throwing conspiracy theory at people when they have good footage of things that are hard to explain.
Right. That's wild. I didn't know about the that one, the spherical or whatever that they shot at
Cylinder, yeah,
cylinder.
yeah. So our listeners, put in the comments if you think you know what it is, or you got any theories. Um, make sure you first of all make sure you go and subscribe to our YouTube page. We're trying to build that one up. So the encouragers, at the encouragers, right on YouTube. We've got the. Is it just the encouragers? Notice.
Yeah. On the
Okay, so
pod, on which
on
one?
the
On
YouTube,
YouTube? Yeah. Let's see. It's yeah, at the encouragers. Yeah.
at the encouragers on YouTube, and then like and subscribe if you guys like our content. That helps us out a ton. And then throw down in the comments what you think it is, and just what your sense of all the stuff that's happening. Why you think we've got more military craft up right now than before? What's going on? Do you think it's Russia? Do you think it's China? Do you think it's aliens? Let us know.
Right. Dude, this is wild. Do you think they're still operating Project Blue Book? Do you think that's still running?
A form of it for sure.
They have to be running something like that. They
It
have to
may
be
not
running. Right.
be called that, but a form of it for sure.
Right. Those of you who don't know who what Project Blue Book is, it was a program conducted by the United States Air Force from 1952 to 1969 to investigate reports of unidentified flying objects or UFOs. And the project was designed to determine whether they posed a potential threat to national security. So, um, so it collected thousands of reports from UFO sightings and encounters, but ultimately it concluded that there was no evidence of extraterrestrial visits or advanced technology beyond human capabilities. So they ended the program. Um, but I wonder if they still have something going on about that. I wonder if they're collecting
Okay.
data or Space Force is involved or,
Okay, so here, check this out. What happened
what's up?
yesterday morning
What's up?
was American. So, by CBS News, American F-16 jets intercept 4 Russian warplanes near Alaska. Now, let's give some context, right? Alaska is right by Russia. It's like
Right.
right there.
Right.
So we're really close. So let's give a little context. But
Was
says
this
two
yesterday?
American. This is yesterday morning. Yeah. So two
Hmm.
American F-16 warplanes intercepted 4 Russian aircraft near Alaska. The joint U.S. Canadian North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, said Tuesday. The routine intercept of the Russian planes, which included a Tu-95 bomber and a Su-35 fighter aircraft, occurred on Monday. The Russian aircraft remained in international airspace and did not enter American or Canadian sovereign airspace, adding that such Russian activity occurs regularly and is not seen as a threat, nor is that activity seen as provocative. Okay, so this is like a much ado about nothing. However, they're in international airspace and close to us. So we kind of responded in turn, hey, we're here in case you're feeling spicy today. Is basically what they were, because things aren't with the Ukraine war, things aren't necessarily friendly between us and Russia. We have heavy sanctions on Russia, which is hurting them from a trade perspective. Although Russia is in a pretty good space because they provide a lot of food and oil from their land. So if they're not able to export it, they're going to have a lot of food for themselves and a lot of oil for themselves. So they're in a good space. I also kind of heard that they have a lot of gold as well because they've been saving up. They've been planning to do this for a long time. So they knew they would have sanctions. They knew that the U.S. would withhold the American dollars, and so they have a lot of gold, which is backed by a lot of different currencies, right? So
Hmm.
they've set themselves up for this, but still, I don't think Russia's brave enough to go attack Alaska, but you never know, right? So it's just interesting that they're testing the waters over there.
Right. Maybe maybe they're over there doing surveillance on the balloon that we downed from China. Maybe they're working in cahoots with China.
But they certainly are. Russia doesn't have too many friends, right? So it's like, who's left that they can partner and trade with? They don't really have much of a choice. So I would say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend type deal over there,
Hmm. Hmm.
is that they're both our enemies. So they're kind of, for lack of better friends, they are friends for now.
Mm. Yeah. And it's crazy because, the thing that fascinates me about China is that there's a lot of American business over there. A lot of our manufacturing was shipped over there, and there's a lot of business being done in China. So, like for the United States to like, I don't know um if there's a play going on from the US government to, I don't know, like undermine the American business that's going on over there, or
Right.
something. I don't know. It's just wild to me that all this stuff is happening. The balloons flying over, like, were they really balloons, spy balloons, or is that what just they wanted to tell us? Because for one thing, I don't want it to be like the what happened when we went invaded Iraq on all these false pretenses. Sent people, how the media was pushing that we had weapons of mass destruction over there, and we went out and took Saddam
Right.
out. So I'm so slow to actually like real like believe anything that's coming out of these mainstream medias. Like, there's always two sides to every story. Actually, there's three sides to every story. There's their truth, your truth, and the actual truth, right?
Right. Well,
But
let's dive into it a little bit.
let's
That
do it.
Iraq has been unstable for a long time, and so the fear, I think, those that decided this, that came up with the story, was that they were on track to have nuclear, right? And we just destabilized the whole country, and in doing so, threw them off track of having a nuclear again. And the fear was that if they have nuclear, they would attempt to use it on Israel and potentially us, right? So if you look at why they did it, um, in the, making up the story so that they can get the media and the general public behind them, because they don't want to go to war where the American people, so that you typically they make up these stories, right, to get to sway the public interest.
Mm,
You see, like, how they were able to sway the public interest towards the Ukraine war, when they should have been in talks to avoid this at all costs, because Russia has more nuclear bombs than we do. They don't necessarily have the capability to launch them the way that we do. We've got, our military is far superior, but the fact that they have that many, you you want to say peace is the way to go. Let's talk this through. Let's not, let's not do it. And the big part of it is that nobody wants to talk about is there's a part of the Ukraine movement which are very much anti-Jew, and so, like, literally having Nazi flags and stuff
yeah.
like that, which nobody's talking about that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's, we need to talk about the whole story here. And and this is one thing that bothered me about everybody that put up Ukraine flags, is
Hmm.
what you should have empathy for the people in Russia that want nothing to do about this war. You had an
Exactly.
elite few people that decided to go to war, and most of those soldiers that are forced to go, right? So they don't have a choice. And think about all the women and children and kids and men and people that didn't want to participate.
Right.
Where's your empathy? And I see, psyop. It screams psyop to me, right? That they're trying to sway the public interest, and you don't have empathy if you don't put a Ukraine flag.
Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
so then you saw it from from a certain political party where everybody was
Hmm.
kind of influenced everybody to do that. But if you had true empathy for people, you would be anti-war, and
Yep.
And you would also have empathy for the Russian people, in my
Right.
opinion.
Did you know that you spot on right there, brother? Did you know that that area of the world they still have a lot of Nazis, bro? There's a lot of people that still believe in that. And I didn't know this one until I went there, but Greece is one of the highest concentrated areas of Nazi supporters, bro. Greece, the places that people like to go to and do their Instagram stories and
Sheesh.
Instagram feeds. Greece has the highest concentrated number of Nazi supporters.
And they like to call us white supremacists and Nazi over here, but I've never met a Nazi. I've never met anybody that was a white supremacist either. And so, and I'll give it, and the majority of my friends are my closest friends for sure are multicultural. So, maybe I'm exposed to more of that, but
Okay.
I'd like to think I've gotten to know a lot of people over the years, and I just, I know, I've encountered racism on both sides, but not ever a Nazi,
Right.
not a full blown. Maybe I need to get out more.
No, I don't know, man. It's just wild. Like,
Yeah,
there's always deeper stories inside the story that you're trying to hear or being pushed out by the media, man. And I worked in that industry, right? Worked as a photojournalist in that industry, covering news and creating news, man. But yeah, it's
right,
wild what we're seeing today. I'm always slow to. That's why I'm so skeptical. I'm trying to see like what are these producers doing? Why are they showing us this right on
right,
TV? Why are they
right.
leading with this?
And to be clear, in case somebody decides to clip that or take it the wrong way,
Right.
I believe that people should be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. So that's my
Absolutely.
firm belief, right? So
Right.
do good unto others. And I am not for Nazis. I am not for any extreme group that purports hatred against another. So yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's my silly
Yeah.
that I have to say that because I can't get the benefit of the doubt. But with us being in the limelight here, I just wanted to say that just so everybody knows.
Right. Right. Thanks for doing that, Jake. But yeah, it's just a wild time in news right now. Like, and it's kind of like what we have this Jake and Notice podcast is that we love and are always looking forward to talk about this type of stuff. And so now that we're seeing it more and more being pushed, like some newscasts are leading with these stories. And it just makes me think, like, what's going on? What I remember back in the day, like, shoot, before I learned about Project Blue Book, there's this thing called Project Blue Beam. You ever heard of that, Jake?
Mm.
Project Blue Beam, but it's the it's the ability to for people to use projection mapping.
Oh, maybe I haven't heard of this one. Explain this.
Yeah, man. It's actually a conspiracy theory. Um, um,
I don't have my rabbit ears yet or my tinfoil hat, but continue.
okay, so Project Bluebeam, if you look it up, it's all over TikTok. You can just type in the search. You know what? Shout out to TikTok first of all, because a lot of the information that I'm seeing, like it just be flooding all over. Maybe it's because of the algorithm that's being hit up on our TikTok, but I'm seeing more and
And,
more of this stuff.
and enjoy TikTok while it's there because eventually, I'm just telling you guys, it's going to be taken down. So
Yeah,
the
they're
app is pervasive in what it pulls from your phone.
right.
So while we have it, enjoy it because we won't have it forever.
No, no, we're not. No, we're definitely not. They want to get rid of that, and that's part of the agenda to get rid of that mug, man. But you can search up the topics that we are talking about here on this podcast on TikTok, Google. But yeah, Project Blue Beam is, just to be clear, it's a conspiracy theory, and it claims that there is a new world order planning to create a one world government. You probably have heard of that. They're trying to create a one world government and a one world religion. And so Project Bluebeam is centered around or the theory of it is that there's advanced technology that's going to be used by the secret government to use holographic images and sound projections to create like a realistic and convincing scenario, which would be accompanied by a massive propaganda campaign to influence people's perception and beliefs. So, like, you know how we saw that comment? There's technology, that comment, from that Twitter. There's technology out there that can create that.
A fake meteor.
Yeah, fake
Right.
meteor. There's it can do anything, bro. It can show. It can like it can make a Jesus. It can make someone floating in the air. Like um, it could it can show like a projection map into the air, and everyone can see it, that there's a person floating there or walking or something. And there's been like different examples of it being already used out in the public, which is
Sheesh.
wild. Yeah, bro. But they can so like a lot of the talk I've seen this back in like 2001 is when I heard about it. 2001, the same year that Ron Paul was running for election. That's the same year that I heard about it. So whatever year
Hmm.
that was, but they can make it so that they can projection map like a fake alien invasion. They can do that with this technology. Like they can create a fake rapture, like Jesus showing himself to the people. And it's not just with images; it's with sound too.
So notice, just
Mhm.
just do a sidetrack here, and then we'll come back to this.
Okay.
So you've seen some like magicians and stuff on stage, right? Have you been part of a when you worked in Vegas? Were you ever part of on stage of a magician crew?
Yeah, that's remember I worked for the Steve Wyrick show down in
Oh yeah,
Vegas.
yeah, yeah.
I was a
Okay,
stagehand.
so
Yep.
I was just making sure my mind was correct here.
Mm.
So talk about sleight of hand, like look one way while I do something else. Talk about that without giving away any secrets, right? But talk about that a little bit because you'll know more than me, and then we'll link this back into what we were just talking about.
Right. Okay. So, like as a stagehand, I'm on there and I'm helping to create the illusion of him doing magic, right?
Right.
And a lot of the times, a lot of the tricks, and just this is just normal with anything, but a lot of his tricks, he makes it so that you're actually focused on something else. Like if he wants to disappear, he'll make you focus on like a light or his hand, waving his hand or a handkerchief in the air, and then that would be the cue to do the effect for the stagehand or whoever it is to conduct the effect. Not saying that he did his shows like that, but typically when stagehands are involved in a magic show, that's what they're doing. They're helping to create the illusion of all that. But you can't
Right.
see them because there's this material that a lot of stagehands wear in show business, so that they're not seen even in the plain sight and with light on you. It's called black art material. You can be shining light directly onto an individual from the stage on stage, and you won't be able to see him. It's wild. It's just it's just material, a special kind of material that they make, and it's called black art. And you could be standing right in the center. The spotlights are on you. You're sitting there holding something, but the audience cannot detect where you are, or can't even see you. Even with the light shining, those bright stage lights shining on you, they can't see you because you're wearing this material. It's wild. It's called black art.
Okay, so let's go back to let's like slowly connect this back to what we were talking about here. Like in the Iraq War,
Mm-hmm.
their illusion that their handkerchief, what they wanted you to look at was weapons of mass destruction, right? So that was the illusion. Let's look over here while we do this. And it was basically two things I think is we needed a position where oil, huge oil reserves were in the Middle East. We needed troops there for to be able to manage and control because the dollar is essentially backed by oil, right? So it's in our interest to always be close to oil, at least right now, and in 20 years ago when this was all happening, and then um, and then also trying to destabilize a country that would potentially maliciously use a nuclear campaign against its neighbors, right? So those would be the two real reasons while they're saying weapons of mass destruction. So let's take it in today. Okay, what are they trying to distract us from? That's the question I have, right? So now they're waving UAPs, they're waving, they're waving meteors, um, they're waving all these things, and and there's still there's a chance this is all true, but let's talk about both sides, right? Are they manipulating us to think these are true and it's their own technology, or is it legit other ones? But let's just say it's their technology and they're trying, it's the illusion of it. They want us to look a certain way. Why do you think that is?
Me personally, my idea, I'm gonna take y'all down a different rabbit hole. I think they're trying to corrupt the American. It's not going to go towards the UFOs and UAPs. It's going to go towards financial literacy. I think they're trying to destruct the dollar, the American dollar. The Fed raised interest rates today. Today in the markets, they raised interest rates. And I think slowly, I think their goal is to raise their interest rates up to 2%. And I think they want to make it so that the the economy is not creating jobs. Because once there's no more jobs being created, I think there's going to be a huge collapse. We're going to see a huge collapse. But I think that could be a reason. I don't know. Maybe because I'm on the money talk right now, money tick.
What
Could
would be
be
the
that
end goal
there's
of that though? How would that benefit if we all collapsed?
digital
Who would,
currency.
who would it benefit?
It would benefit those in power. I think, but
I could see it going, if we want to talk about if they truly believe that we have too many people on the planet and there's too many mouths to feed, if they truly believe that, I could see that as a reason. But and then the other reason is I just think it's not a well for them being so rich, population collapse and getting causing us to infight is not necessarily good for the rich.
mhm.
Like maybe they'll be able to wall themselves off from everyone, but I would push back and say a peaceful nation is still better for them because right now you can travel the whole United States relatively peacefully, right? But if you cause collapse and now you can't go to Texas and you can't go to California, you get two states warring with each other, which could happen if they destabilize in this sense.
Mhm.
They like I don't see how that is beneficial unless they truly believe, in I would even call it a cult if these rich people believe that we are overpopulated, like maybe they do. I think definitely a cult, but um yeah, I could see them if they I could see that being a reason, but destabilizing us for the sake of destabilizing for wanting collapse, I don't see that as ultimately good for them and less labor for them too, right? So if we're fighting each other, infighting civil wars, they that's not very much control, and then your dollar doesn't mean as much in a destabilized world as well. So maybe they're rich in certain sense. I don't see that the destabilization of the world, unless that's simply your goal is chaos. And maybe I'm just not as being I like to think of myself as a loving human being. I want the best for
Right.
others. Maybe I'm just missing it, but I just don't see the end goal there.
Yeah, it's wild. There's I don't know, man. I've seen and heard a lot of different things, so it just makes me. And then the more I see of the things that I've heard about, talk about, and conspiracy, it's coming true, or like more moving towards that way. It makes me just think. But I keep hearing like,
It's good to ask questions. It's good to
yeah,
be like, hey, why
question everything.
is this message there? It's also to like try and play both sides of it though, right? So if you find yourself leaning one way, ask the question, support the other view too, so
Right,
you can kind of get an idea of. Also, will keep you sane, right?
right.
Because if all you do is subscribe to conspiracy theories, which I do love them, right? But
Oh yeah,
you've got to balance yourself with the reality somewhere in there and ask yourself the opposite, whatever the opposite idea is, to have some sort of balance and sense. Otherwise, you'll fall off into the deep end.
yeah, completely. Yeah, you got to have that, but you got to want to have that too, because there's a lot of people that just, the QAnon people that thought all that stuff was real and are still thinking it's real. I mean, you got to want to believe it, or you got to want to be open minded. You got to have to be open minded, or else, yeah,
Well,
like you said,
let's be clear. It is an issue. Like what they brought
right,
up is not covered enough. But they didn't settle for the win they had was the issue with child trafficking and
Hmm.
minor trafficking, which is with Jeffrey Epstein, and that got covered up and
Hmm.
he got killed. So don't tell me that they had a huge point there, but their problem is they couldn't stop there. They had to
Hmm.
go to moon people, lizard people,
Lizard
they
people. Yeah.
yeah, underground people. They had to get weird, and they couldn't stop with like the one actual win that they had, which trafficking is covered up in our society. There's a lot of it. It's horrible. It is something that needs to be stopped. If you literally, the FBI is focuses on this and is hunting these people down. So
Right.
we can't act like this doesn't go on. It does. But they didn't take the win, right? They had to go take the L with lizard people and center of the earth, and
Right.
they got into flat earth, and all that stuff kind of got mixed in. So the issue you have with those kind of people is there was, just like we were talking about, there's no balance.
Right.
So you're not balancing yourself. If you believe in everything, what do you stand for? Right?
Hmm.
Because there was no true research done to push back against some of these wild theories that they were spouting. They just so happened to be right about one of them, though.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. It definitely got a balance, man. Like, even though I've heard about
Right.
all those different things, just gotta take it one. Just yeah, it's nice to hear, but just keep moving forward. But yeah, it's super unique that we're seeing all this activity going on. Mainstream media and the mainstream corporate news is leading with it, in their stories. But yeah. What about your answer to your question, Jake? What do you think the sleight of hand is?
I don't know.
What's going
I don't
on?
know. I have no idea. I I don't know the answer. I know that I believe that it is for a purpose. I don't know what that purpose is.
Hmm.
So I it can't be anything that good for us. I'll say that. If they're trying to give us the sleight of hand, all the other things I mentioned weren't really good for humanity.
Hmm.
Um, Excuses to and in the end, a lot of this is about war and leveraging position, power, those types of things. So I would say it's probably along one of those lines.
Could it be
But
that they're that we're seeing a lot more extraterrestrial UAP activity, UFO activity because of the state of humanity right now?
it could be just that our sensors are better and that we can detect them more, and we develop systems that can detect them better once we saw where they were and how they're evading, and as new technology came out, we can see them more. I would imagine because we have writings on the walls of ancient tombs of flying craft, so there's
Hmm.
just been and then even in the Indian drawings, in almost every ancient civilization shows us being visited by craft. So
Hmm.
I would say it's probably not anything new, which might blow some of your minds, but if that's the case, going back to Gobekli Tepe, and we can dive into this on another episode with Grant Hancock and Randall Carlson. But what if this is, what if we are a people with amnesia, is what he likes to talk about. We
Right.
literally can't build the pyramids. Um, we can't move stones. We don't have cranes big enough or powerful enough to move the stones that they used in the pyramids to make them. We cannot duplicate it. We can't bring it
Right.
thousands of miles away and cut them with the precision that they did. We can't duplicate that technology right now. So if we can't duplicate that, and supposedly they think this is from 2 to 4,000 years ago, there's other theories with Graham saying 10,000 years ago. If we are truly a people with amnesia, like we had technology and lost it, it
Hmm.
would make sense, right? It would make sense why we can't duplicate some of these technologies. If, for example, their theory is in the Younger Dryas period that we had some asteroids hit and essentially melted the polar ice caps, happened twice, right?
Right. Twice.
Um, Twice, and essentially when water essentially tsunamis went, when it melted, so it hit the atmosphere, and when an asteroid hits the atmosphere, because it's a vacuum in space, it's literally like hitting the ground when it hits our atmosphere. So it hits our atmosphere, explodes, causing blocking the sun. The sky is on fire. The asteroids are on fire, right?
Mhm.
It ignites fire all through the sky. Then it comes, hits the polar ice caps, melts them. A tsunami of ice and rock and mud and melt. You look at it, think of it like a mudslide, rolls across the earth.
Mhm.
You could see it, easily, affecting a lot of humanity in that case. It's an interesting thought experiment to have.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something deep. That will definitely like to talk more about that.
That's another rabbit
Yeah,
hole we'll address on one of our episodes.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, it could be. Did you know during World War II that there were sightings of UAPs, UFOs during
Yep.
that time? So
Yep.
like during the World Wars, not even just World War II, I think even World War One.
Around our nuclear sites, there have been
Right.
multiple sightings of UAPs and also them shutting down the nuclear
Plant.
capabilities, right? Shutting down the plant. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, so there's, you got to question, okay, if, and this is the fun question to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have a missing link on the planet right now where we can see where for those that believe in evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not there. So we don't have proof of where we came from. We have some proof of higher technology still on the planet, like the pyramids and like some drilling, like some other things that some technology that we can't duplicate right now,
Right.
or we can only duplicate with our best technology would be like diamonds and diamond drills and stuff like that. But cutting to the precision, laser cut precision you're talking about that happened 10,000 years ago, we don't have the whole story. We
Mm-hmm.
clearly don't have the whole story. And, um, us with our big old brains, without asteroids hitting for a number of years, you could see, essentially ascending like we are right now. What if they ascended? What if this is a question to ask, right? What
Mm-hmm.
if this is not the first ascension of humanity? What if we ascended with greater technology before and survived a cataclysm that essentially wiped out all technology? And I'll give you an example right now. If an EMP went off in our atmosphere over the United States and knocked out electricity, that alone, right? You give it 50 years, our the United States would not look the same. It would be mostly eroded, partially gone. That's even without a cataclysm, right?
Right. That's just the
One of the
EMP.
others, that's just the EMP, and then we can talk about one of the other things we can talk about on one of our shows coming up, and let us know if you guys want to hear about it, is the magnetic, the magnetic poles. They are moving and they're moving faster and faster. And there is a theory that they shift every 7,000 years or so. And so when that happens, essentially that just means that our molten core inside of the Earth flips, right? And so the polar north and polar south will shift. What happens is the Earth will stop turning for a period of time, but the water and the wind don't. So we'll be tidally locked to the sun. So we won't be rotating if this were to happen. And so you have the winds going about 100 miles an hour and the water going about 100 miles an hour. And so ultimately, what that creates is a tsunami that would go over our planet if these magnetic poles shift. That's another topic of conversation we can go into, and we can really go into some other ones. I'm sure there's stuff that you and I don't know about Notice, but yeah, give us some ideas on topics that you want us to research, and we'll bring up and see where it goes.
Absolutely. This is what we're here for. This is the Jake and Notice show, and this is what we love to talk about. If you look at our logo, you can see the things that we are interested in talking about. And but yeah, definitely shoot us hit us up in our emails. Contact us through our social medias, at Encouragers on YouTube, the the Encouragers podcast, everywhere else. But yeah, shoot us an email and let us know what you guys are interested in and would love to talk about. But yeah, EMPs are something that I was wondering, how could we prepare ourselves to face something like that, right?
So
Because every
you got to be able to protect your family. You got to be able to feed yourself without electricity. and you got to be able to acquire water and also either filter it or clean it so that it would be safe to drink.
Right.
So, yeah, so you got to learn how to grow crops. Yeah, that would be what, you'd have to do. You'd have to revisit hunting as
Hmm.
well and fishing. If you're in an area where you were to fish, and you also have to shelter as well. So in a place that you can keep warm enough where you're not going to freeze.
Right.
Um, so these are all things that that's good to have. We can get into food storage and all these other things, but it's good to have a month's supply of food,
Right.
if anything were to happen, regardless. But yeah, if a EMP hit, you wouldn't be able to drive your car. Your cars wouldn't work. Um, your electricity wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to turn anything on. So do you have candles? Do you have batteries saved up for your flashlights? Like, these are all things. Good question to ask yourself. Are you prepared if the electricity went out for a week? What about a month? And to see what the answer is. And if you're not, a good idea to be prepared for it. What hurt can it do
Yeah.
to be prepared?
Right. And EMPs are something that happens like commonly. You know that like lightning can
Yeah.
cause EMP, solar flares.
Solar flare from the sun,
Hmm.
right? And this is
Also,
the other thing
right.
with the magnetic pole shifting, we wouldn't be protected from the sun in the same way.
Hmm.
So we'd be susceptible to solar radiation and solar flares.
Right.
So another point there, um, I'd be more worried. I mean, of course, it's all worrisome, but the immediate worry is that the tsunami
Right. Right.
that it creates for sure.
Did you know? I work in aviation in the airline industry, and something that it's funny that you mentioned that that magnetic shift in the poles, and it's a true thing, man. In aviation, there is magnetic shift. Like our airline, the runways in particular, right? When I first started working in operations over at the airport, the the runways used to be called 16 right, 34 right, and now because of the magnetic shift, they renamed the runways. Now it's 17 right, 35 right. Um, so it's crazy because it affects aviation big time because all the compasses on the instruments are based off of magnetic north, and the way the airports, all the way the airports or the runways, the way the runways are situated, they're situated towards the magnetic north. It's how many degrees off of magnetic north it is. So 16 degrees right means that it's 16 degrees right of magnetic north. It used to be
Hmm.
16, now it's 17 degrees north or 17 degrees right of magnetic north. So it's wild that this is happening. Like I see it at work every day when you're talking about the magnetic poles shifting.
So when I Google it too, it says every 700,000, not 7,000 years.
Hmm.
So they're guessing 700 to 800,000 years. I heard from some theories that it was every 7,000 years, but I think it's tough to measure when that happens.
Yeah.
So, but
See,
science on Google is saying 700,000 years. So just to correct myself there, that's what they think is the last time it moved.
but it's crazy that that they even know that, right? That they even know that the magnetic north shifts. Like who the person that figured that out in the first place, and how they
Right.
knew that it shifts. It's just wild, bro.
So here's the explanation. And here's so on NASA's saying every 300,000 years. So it's just like it depends on which one you go to here. But since the forces that generate our magnetic fields are constantly changing, the field itself is also in continual flux. Its strength waxing and waning over time. This causes the location of the Earth's magnetic north and south poles to gradually shift and even to completely flip. So, it's
Sheesh.
gradually shifting right now, but it's my understanding that it's increasing each year exponentially right now. So, and I'll have to uh, I wonder how much. But you said what degree shift did it shift for your runway, or is it
Um,
simply the name?
no, 1 degree. So it used to be 16 right and 34 left. Now
Okay.
it's 17 right and 35 left. So it's just wild how that is.
We'll wonder how many. So you follow that longitude up to the North Pole from where you are, and how many miles is 1 degree
Shoot, I don't know. See, when it comes to math, I don't.
from
I'm a bug
from
out.
Reno? We'd have to know from Reno, right, to see.
Hmm.
But um, how many miles? We'd have to look and see what that is based on where you were where you are in Reno. Maybe we'll figure it out for the next podcast.
Yeah, but it's just wild though. Some wild information. But
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. What's going on in our world, people? What is going on? What's all this news about? What's going on? Let us know. What do you guys think is going on? What's the end game? What's the play going on right now, folks? Let us know. Let's like we really want to know what you're thinking. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the polls that we'll put out on Spotify. Shoot us a DM on our social media. We're always on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. What's the end plan? What's the end game? What's the play going on, folks? Let us know what you think. But yeah, Jake, I think this has been a great Jake and Notice episode. I think this is the first time we ever actually, went into a deep dive like this of talking about this sort of subject. But there's so many other things that we'd love to talk about. It's just the
Right.
tipping point.
And
But
we really just touched on a few of them, right? It just
mhm.
kind of going, not the full deep dive or anything like that. But yeah, look forward to going into more topics, and you guys will definitely see us jump into more of these on the Jake and Notice shows, and instead of the encouragers, when we focus on those ones, you guys know our focus is just a little different. This is a little bit more fun topics, thought experiments. Don't take us seriously. We're just having fun with it. A lot of it is based on research and facts that we're looking at it, but at the end of the day, it's just fun thought experiments meant to expand your mind.
Absolutely. For this show, for what is episode 3 for Jake and Notice, on behalf of myself and Jake, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great week, and definitely let us know what you guys are thinking. What's going on out there?
And Goonies never say die.
Good night, everybody. Have a good week.
Good night.